And welcome to the Huddle, KG9 sports streaming talk show. We come to you every week. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Parris. Pat, good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing well. It's crazy weather day outside. If you're joining us live on Tuesday, some thunderstorms, a little cooler. That's crazy.
I was at the Tucson Arena this morning for the Roadrunners game. It was not raining outside, but it was raining on the east side of Tucson where our studios are. So that's Tucson. It can be totally different in one part
Yeah.
of town than it is in another. We get microbursts and the whole deal. Anyway, Arizona football 4-3 hosts 11th ranked Oregon State, Pat, this Saturday. An Oregon State team that only has one loss. It averages 38 points per game. Wildcats haven't played them since 2019, haven't beaten them since 2017. Last time Oregon State came in this highly ranked was 2012. So, chance for Arizona to get a second straight win against a ranked team this week against the Beavers.
Yeah, and I really do like their chances, Jason. I think the way they played, before the bye, the week before that, it was the Washington State game. The way they really handled Washington State in all facets. Washington State scored on their opening drive and never really had an opportunity again to score. The defense was terrific with 3 takeaways, and the offense was very solid as well, obviously. And I just think Arizona is on a roll. The only thing you hate to see, buys come at good times sometimes for teams to get healthy and things like that. But buys can also kind of come at a time where it stops your momentum. And yeah, they lost by a touchdown to Washington. They lost in overtime to USC, and then they beat Washington State. They were really on a roll. Let's hope they continue that. That's my point. I hope the bye didn't disrupt everything that was going in their favor.
And what the bye does also is get injured players healthy. And one of the injured players, Pat, has been quarterback Jayden de Laura. Jed Fish a couple weeks ago, or actually last Monday, made it sound like de Laura wouldn't be ready based on how he hobbled onto the field to take the final snap in that win at Washington State. Well, yesterday in the news conference, Fish made it sound like he was pretty much going to have everybody healthy. So that now really leads into the quarterback situation. The quarterback question is, if de Laura is healthy, who do you go back with, Fifita or de Laura? And Noah Fifita, of course, has played well. Just got the win over Washington State, where he had played a near perfect game. And you got a situation of which quarterback do you now go with? And Fish, very coy in the news conference on Monday when he says, well, we got 2 great quarterbacks,
Yeah.
Some people think 2 means you don't have any. I know, Pat, you want to see Jayden de Laura not start and go back to Noah Fifita coming off the win at Washington State against Oregon State coming up here on Saturday night.
Yeah, and it's kind of what have you done for me lately? And I think what we saw to Jay Moore was fine, but we also saw some struggles. And then we see Noah Fifita, and we see what he's been able to do. He's been the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week 2 weeks in a row before the bye week. It's the decision making. It's being able to manage the game. It's being able to run that offense to its fullest. You don't always get that from Jayden de Laura. So that's a strike against de Laura. But what you do get, and you'll be the first to point this out because I know you kind of side on the Jayden de Laura things. He makes some plays that a lot of other quarterbacks can't make. But the downside of Jayden de Laura is he also makes mistakes that that whole paralysis by analysis. I think he gets a little slow on the decision making process. That costs him as well. So I'd love to see him stick with Noah Fifita. And get an opportunity to watch him play another game and see if he's able to continue to do what he's done the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think de Laura basically is just a higher risk, higher reward quarterback. He's going to take a few more chances. He's going to take a few more plays, but he's also going to make a decision or two that you want back when he's running behind the line of scrimmage or isn't as decisive as Noah Fifita. And that's what I would say Noah Fifita is he's a very decisive quarterback, but he can't make all the plays. But therefore, it's kind of like, Pat, the way I see it is when a play goes to instant replay and it's so hard to pick whether or not the play should be reversed or not. And you're right on the fence. It's like, okay, if I'm right on the fence, I'm going to go with what the call is on the field. And I think that's where I kind of am here. I'm enough on the fence, maybe touch to de Laura, where I don't want to see them make a change. I think it's disruptive, really, to make a QB change like this right now. And I think that it's got to be just a little bit more obvious, right? If de Laura goes out there in the first half and plays himself out of the position and they're still in the game, okay, done. but I think he's got to play himself out of it before that happens. You can make the case, well, he did that a little bit against California. Um, was it the California game
No,
or Stanford?
Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford. I
Yeah,
meant
that's when he got hurt, and
yeah.
Fafita came in
You
and
can
won
make
the
the
game.
case he
Yeah,
did that against Stanford, but
yeah.
I'm not yet ready to make that change. As you are, as some other people we've talked to, as some of the fans are, I'm not yet ready to change just uh, based on Fafita's play, which has been very good, but not like dominating where he's passing other teams silly and things like that. I'm just not ready to go there just yet.
Yeah, but I don't think he's been asked to pass silly. They've had such a terrific running game. I think he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, and he's making that offense run better than we've seen it run. And that's because there's the opponent has to worry about him with his great decision making on in pass plays. But they've also got, maybe that softens the defense a little bit. It's the old adage, does the pass set up the run, or does the run set up the pass, or is a little bit of both? Probably a little bit of both. But my point is, you've got a quarterback now that teams are now have enough film on. They're trying to figure him out. They haven't been able to figure him out. And then you've got the run game going, and Arizona's run game is suddenly one of the best in the Pac-12. And the dual combination means they're scoring. I looked it up, Jason. They're scoring a little over a point more a game. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot compared to last year, but it really is in the sense that they were having problems, remember, in the red zone. They kicked a lot of field goals last year. They're getting more touchdowns this year. It's a little bit of a difference, but it's enough of a difference that I think we both see this team rising right now. Instead of last year, they were kind of pretty much plateaued. Better last year than the year before that, but not like this, where we see some really significant improvement.
Well, I do have a stronger opinion on the running back situation. I do believe that Jonah Coleman should be the starting running
Yeah,
back.
I do too. Yeah.
And nothing against Michael Wiley, but this is where it's a little bit more obvious to me. I mean, this is a punishing back who beats on defenders, is tough to bring down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got these safeties in these lines. These guys don't want to see this guy. He's a really hard runner. I do think Jonah Coleman should be the starting running back.
Yeah.
And not that anything Michael Wiley has not done anything wrong, but Jonah Coleman has gone out there and been above and beyond.
Well, and that's there used to be an adage, or some people subscribe to this adage of you can't lose your job due to injury. You should get it back since you come back. But that's not the case. Guys come in and do better. My sense is that Noah Fafita is better than Jayden de Laura right now. I'd stick with him. I agree. I don't think Michael Wiley necessarily should just be installed back in as a starter because he's now healthy. I look at him, Michael Wiley, now as he becomes the change of pace back every once in a while.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
can come in and spell and make a difference in that way too. Yeah, he didn't come back to be the second string running back, but sometimes that happens, Jason. Back real quick to de Laura. De Laura was outstanding his freshman year at Washington State, and guess what? They went out and got a better quarterback, and he transferred.
That's different. It's a different coaching staff.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm just saying
staff wanted their guy.
This kind of stuff happens, and for de Laura, just because you've used that that argument that Jed Fish promised him he'd start all 3 years, and that's college football. I don't
know
think
that he promised them. They just have had a strong relationship that I think would be disruptive. I think it's just got to be a little bit more obvious that Fafita should be the starting quarterback. I just don't think it's a no-brainer. Oh my God, what are you watching? Of course, this guy should be in there.
I look at the output of the offense, which is much better than it was when Jayden de Laura was quarterbacking. I think that to me it is obvious. It is not so much on the fence like you are, but that's my opinion. And I really think that what really boils down to is you just get the sense from the other guys on the team that they're happy with Noah Fafita as the quarterback right now. So why would you disrupt that? That's
I'm not pounding the chest on de Laura. I'm not saying he should definitely
be
the guy, be a mistake that Fafita, not all that. I'm just not just ready to make a quarterback switch just yet. That's all.
Although, I would make the argument you are making a quarterback switch because you've had this guy for three and a quarter games now.
That's not a switch when a guy comes back from injury.
Well, that is when you go three and a quarter games and you're playing your best football right now. It would be a hard decision to make if you were Jed Fish, and it would also be a hard one to kind of get across to the team as to why we're making the switch now when we're playing the best football this team has played in 10 years. You know, that's where I see it.
One of the reasons that I think Jed Fish has done such a good job here in his third year has to do with what he inherited and what he took over. And what he took over, I mean, was just a brutal situation.
It was
And Pat,
embarrassing, Jason.
no,
Yeah.
it's not about me, but I was one of the few people who were in the building for 70-7. And I saw what that team looked like and where that program was. And it was in a sad state. And Pat, there was an elephant in the room when Kevin Sumlin was here. People whispered it to me. They wanted me to report on it. I got to report on something like that. When somebody says to me, hey, the coach has a drinking problem. Okay. That's what I'm not saying he does. This is what people told me. Okay. I'm the sports anchor in town. I'm the sports reporter in town. You know, people come up to me and say, hey, we've seen him drunk here. Heard he's drunk there. Do something about it. What am I supposed to do about it? You know, I can't just say, a person said he's drunk there. Okay. So you just leave it alone and you don't really, you know, it's not like the athletic director is going to tell you something. You know, there's nothing public about it. So the news comes out a couple of days ago, yesterday, that someone is arrested for a DUI in the Tampa Bay area. He's currently Maryland's co-offensive coordinator. They had a bye week. He's apparently not with the team now as they head to Northwestern. And you see all this stuff on Twitter about how not surprised, you know, people say, you know, I guess the nicest thing to say is you hope he gets help.
Yes.
You know, at the same time, there's half of that. There's half of putting other people's life in danger when you
That's right.
when you drive drunk and you got $17 million in buyouts from your, you know, the last two schools you were head coaches and you can't call an Uber. So, you know, your thoughts on Kevin Sumlin's DUI?
Well, and I heard the rumblings. People would say that, and yeah, I know they want you to report on that, and that's a really difficult thing to do, and it comes down to the university, and did the university know, and you know,
people said he should have been fired for cause. Well,
yeah,
you know, how's the university supposed to prove he's drunk?
you'd have to tail him 24 hours a day and all that kind of stuff. The bottom line is he left here because he didn't get the job done. In fact, things
was more than that, Pat.
It went in reverse.
I remember when our guest was PJ from the paper. Is Lewis her last name? PJ Lewis. PJ from the newspaper.
I'll think of it in a second.
Yeah. It's throwing me off because of KJ Lewis. But I think that's her last name too.
PJ Brown. No, it's
PJ Brown. PJ Brown. Sorry. When PJ Brown came on our program and she put it very tactfully and she said something just broke within the program. Okay, interesting way to put it. But I mean, they were in a giant mess when Fish took over.
Yeah, and well, that's what I'm saying. He didn't get the job done. In fact, the program went in reverse, is what I said. And what I mean by that is from recruiting to game preparation to, you know, everything, strength and conditioning, and that's not a knock on any of the coaches on that. It all starts and ends with the head coach, and it was awful, and it was an awful situation to watch. It was embarrassing, as I said before, as a Wildcat fan, to see it come to that. Kevin Sumlin moves on, and I don't think any of us are surprised as to what happened, but I do wish he would get help. I hope this is maybe the final straw that helps him get the help that he needs. He did put people in danger, and that's where you and I agree wholeheartedly that just can't happen. There's consequences for things like that for him. I thought it was very interesting in the stories both you and I read when this all came out yesterday, that they talked about his success at Houston and his somewhat success and then failure at A&M. And then all of a sudden they have him getting the job as the assistant offensive coordinator. They completely, these national writers completely overlooked the fact that he was at Arizona and did so horribly. It's a good thing. It's a bad thing. I don't know. It just showed you that Arizona football was so irrelevant during that losing streak that they don't even remember that he was head coach here.
I think he was 4-8, 5-7.
Does it show up in his wiki, by the way? Maybe it wasn't in his wiki. I don't know. Maybe it was deleted.
4-8, 5-7, and 0-5. One memory I have is, you know, at the end of the game, sometimes I'm on the field and I'm near one of our videographers and they get the coach leaving the field, you know, that kind of shot of the coach leaving. And one day he was going into the tunnel, if you will, And as he's about to walk in the tunnel, one of the fans yelled out as clear as loud as can be, "Stealing money," right at Kevin
Oh,
Sumlin.
wow.
And someone looked up.
Yeah.
He looked up. Most of the time, these coaches are not reactionary
Mm-hmm.
to things, but he looked up. All right, so that's Arizona football. That's Kevin Sumlin, and of course, also we'll talk a little Arizona basketball.
Well, hey, real quick,
Exhibition.
Jason, real
Yeah.
quick, just one note that I just saw that Lucas Havrasek is getting picked up by the LA Rams because they just released their kicker after their game Sunday when he missed a couple of long field goals. So Lucas Havrasek is going to get a shot with the Rams coming up this weekend.
Oh, no way! Like he's already he's on like trying
Uh,
out or on the practice squad, or is he the signed kicker
He
for the
was
game?
on the Colts practice squad, and Adam Schefter is saying that he will sign with the Rams today or tomorrow, and he will be their place kicker.
Wow, good for
Yeah,
him.
good for him, right? Long time,
Tremendous
what,
leg.
five seasons here?
Yeah, tremendous leg.
Mhm.
Not always most perfectly accurate
No,
kicker,
yeah,
but his leg he had an NFL leg for
right.
field goals.
Yeah, he definitely
I'm
has the
trying to
length, and
remember.
yeah,
I do think I saw. I'm trying to remember if I was at Pro Day for him or somebody else. Um, I remember a kicker at Pro Day, and I'm trying to remember if it was him. But obviously, we watched him play, Arizona
yeah,
football. And we saw his leg. I mean, out 40 yards and plus is what
that's
he
right.
kicked. So Arizona had two kickers in his senior year.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so Tyler Loop kicked the field goals under 40, and he did the ones over 40. So you can't really look at stats when something like that happens.
Yeah.
You just got to look at the eye test, and he was booming them. So I hope he kicks. We'll hope he comes well for the Rams. All right, Arizona football. I don't know what you can tell from an exhibition game against Lewis Clark State. I saw some of the highlights. It's an NAIA team. I saw Keyshawn posting up players who were much.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Johnson posting up players much smaller than he was. One time he could have gotten called for an offensive foul. I don't know.
Or it could have been a flop too on the defensive player.
Kylan Boswell looks the part.
Yes, he does.
He's bigger and stronger, and he's added a little floater to his game. He's kind of been showing off, and KJ Lewis looked really good. I thought in what I saw, he's the freshman. He looked really, really strong.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed by him. Umar Ballo looks bigger. By the way, I think we have some highlights of Arizona basketball. No?
I think we do. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I would say,
there's the floater. Umar Ballo looks. I saw him in practice. I didn't see him in the game. Looks bigger. Not that he needed to be bigger. Just some interesting thoughts. Anything you've seen from the
well, you're looking right. You're looking at some of these.
Love.
Yeah, and I was going to say something about Caleb Love because, here's a guy who it's almost an afterthought sometimes as we run down the list of KJ Lewis and Kylan Boswell and Keyshawn Johnson, but this is a guy who also had national championship final championship game experience with North Carolina. He comes here with something to prove, Jason, just kind of like Keyshawn Johnson. Not that Keyshawn Johnson has much to prove, but they want to prove that going to Arizona will get them potentially a first round spot in the draft. And I think Caleb Love is that kind of player that he's got to show that he's a better teammate than he was at times at North Carolina. And if he does that, there's that play you said about Keyshawn Johnson.
I thought that was an offensive foul.
If Caleb Love shows that he can, that it's not all about him and that he can play in this system that will allow him to excel, then I think that'll help his draft stock. And I think that's one of the reasons why, he left North Carolina because he didn't think it was a good fit anymore. And I think that, he had tried to go to Michigan, didn't work out, but that was the best thing that happened for him and hopefully for Arizona.
Yeah, Dylan Anderson and Henry Visar look like sophomores instead of freshmen.
Yep.
I thought that. And obviously there's a lot more depth. The theme in the offseason for Tommy Lloyd was increase the margin for error. It's definitely a deeper team. They're not going to play 7 players like they did last year. You'll see 8 or 9 guys play. Even Philip Borovikinen looked better. So, they definitely have more depth. I think, shooting, we got to see about the shooting. And we'll see what transpires. But, the last 2 regular seasons, they've kind of exceeded expectations from what we thought going into the year. And so there's Keyshawn Johnson, and so yeah, we'll look for that again coming up this year.
Yeah, and the couple of things to follow up on what you said, not only depth, Jason, but I think there's a toughness that was lacking too. And guys like Keyshawn Johnson and Caleb Love, and you go down the list, that helps with that toughness and that sometimes it's just that guys have it that just want to win, and they have won in the past, and that you can see that on display already. And then you said it as well. This is a team the last 2 years under Tommy Lloyd that probably exceeded our expectations, but I would say exceeded our expectations in the regular season.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that part of it. In the regular season.
Yep.
And that's where this team has got to take that next step, is they got to surprise us maybe with a deep tournament run that, right now on paper, they've got a lot of depth. They've got a lot of talent. Can it all gel together? How quickly can it gel together? And okay, take some lumps. Maybe you lose a few games in the non-conference, or a couple of games in the non-conference that they didn't lose the last couple of years, and I'm okay with that, Jason. If that makes you better in March, then have at it. And I think that's why I appreciate their schedule in the non-conference this year.
Yeah, and we'll have an Arizona basketball special where we preview both teams, men's and women's. That's going to drop on Monday. I'll have several stories. One of them is on Conrad Martinez, who's the Spanish point guard. I'd like to see him back up Boswell.
Yeah, I like that idea of yours.
Yeah. Just have Boswell play 32 minutes, or 33 minutes, whatever, have Conrad Martinez play the other 7 or 8, and let the other guys go off ball who aren't, because I don't think there's another natural point guard on the roster.
No.
Yeah. Let the other players, I guess Jaden Bradley can play point guard. Or is he more an off the
I think there's a couple of guys that could play it, but as you said, the last couple of years you've had guys playing it, but then you're taking away their ability to be free and roam and be outside shooters. Yeah. And I think that's where you want to limit that having to happen, and that'd be a great way to do it. Is basically have 2 guys run point, one for 33 minutes, one for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea of a pure point guard. Kirk Kriisa, they said he was a pure point guard, but he never really looked like a pure point guard to me. And he led the Pac-12 in assists, and he said he grew up playing point guard. I don't know. He doesn't look like a pure point guard to me. He didn't anyway. Kriisa, we've documented that for a while, so we don't need to go back there. But and we got the 2 Lithuanian players here who look really strong.
That's right.
Modievis Krivas and Paulius Morauskas. That's going to be a story from one of our colleagues, Ryan, in the special. So it's a lot of talent. Excited for the season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to his story on him, and then I'm looking forward to seeing what they're able to do. And it really becomes a matter of how do you get minutes for these guys, and really it's up to these guys to earn those minutes, right? It's that old coaching adage. Sometimes it's you get tired of hearing about it, but you're going to earn some minutes if you deserve those minutes, and they've got to prove that they earn those minutes. I think they've got a lot of talent, Jason. I really do. It's untapped. It's unknown by a lot, but I think you and I have seen enough to know that this team is pretty talented to really be a special team. But they've got to come together, and each year's different, completely different.
And shooting.
They've got to shoot. They got to shoot the ball. I think we're seeing a little bit of signs from Caleb Love, maybe, but we'll see. He's got to improve his shooting for sure.
All right, we'll be back next Tuesday to talk Arizona football against Oregon State and a lot more as well. And didn't talk Diamondbacks just because this is running live here on Tuesday, and then it's going to be
about
outdated.
To have first pitch anyway,
for those on the live who are watching live, they're about to play Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. But certainly, we'll talk about it Tuesday if they're in the World Series. It's just the reason why we didn't. It's just a timing thing here with when their game is and all that. So it'll be outdated the rest of the week. So that's why not as much Diamondbacks. But hey, let's hope they have a Game 7 and surprise, win the Game 7 and surprise.
Yep, that'd be nice.
All right, for Pat Parris, I'm Jason Barr. This has been the Huddle on KGO9 streaming digital platforms. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you right back here next Tuesday at this time.